The second round of dialogues between the Venezuelan government and the opposition sectors continue in Mexico. Cuban authorities launched a national campaign to vaccinate children ages 2 to 18 against COVID-19. Guinea school leaders announced the reopening of their borders. Hello, welcome to From the South or from the TeleSUR studios in Havana. I'm Ray Gomez. The second round of dialogues between the government and Venezuelan opposition sectors continued in Mexico Monday, aimed at finding a common path out of the country's political crisis. Sunday's meetings focused their attention on economic issues recognized by both parties as a priority. The head of the government delegation, Jorge Rodriguez, has stated that the negotiations are advancing in a cordial atmosphere, which implies a positive element. According to briefings from both sides, statements regarding the results of the talks are expected today. Regarding the expectations of the negotiation table, the President Nicolas Maduro assured that his government will have the utmost patience to achieve the recovery and well-being of the Venezuelans. During an interview, President Maduro said that the commission headed by Jorge Rodriguez has delivered two important documents to defend the sovereignty of Venezuela.
The first document is the immediate lifting of all the financial oil economic trade sanctions against Venezuela and the immediate return of all bank assets and gold to Venezuela. It is a legally document and also supported by a set of letters signed by a business association asking the return of these resources to the country. And secondly, we have submitted a private document so that the meeting of Mexico issued a statement in defense of Venezuela's rights over La Guyana Esequiba.
President Maduro also emphasized that the opposition, by signing a memorandum of understanding, recognizes the legitimacy of Venezuelan government.
This memorandum of understanding is signed by the legitimate Bolivarian government of Venezuela through the representative Dr. Jorge Rodriguez, who is president of National Parliament, and also signed by Gerardo Blay, who represents the so-called white opposition. There's well established that's the government recognized by the opposition, and that's the opposition recognized by the government. We recognize each other. They themselves sign a document to end the fantasy of the interim government. They are recognizing the legitimate government of Venezuela.
President Maduro also recalled the numerous calls for dialogue made by this government, and that in this opportunity the delegations are going to have the greatest willingness in order to reach agreements with the opposition.
We have already attended other meetings, always with good intentions and willingness. Meanwhile, the opposition tried to sabotage the meetings. The 9 members of the opposition assisting the second round of dialogues in Mexico had many personal problems, political differences, electoral differences, a lot of hatred, envy, and pity between their own members. Sometimes they come in a good mood and others don't, and we don't know how to deal with them. What I can say to my country, Venezuela, and the whole world is that we are going to have the greatest patience in order to achieve strategic objectives.
In Peru, Congressperson Kelly Palatino of Peru Libre announced that she has filed a motion of censure against the President of the Parliament, Maria del Carmen Alva, in response to hostile comments against President Pedro Castillo. On Sunday, the parliamentary bench of the ruling party issued statements rejecting the statements made by Alva, who commented that the people are asking for a presidential vacancy, which suggests a coup attempt against the recently elected president. At the same time, the Peruvian political organization emphasizes that the pronouncement of the president of the parliament is backed by traditional right-wing parties, extremist, radical, and fascist groups that seek to destabilize Peru's democracy. Opposition sectors have challenged several members of cabinet in an open attempt to destabilize the new government. However, President Castillo won a vote of confidence motion in August. Hundreds of Salvadorians protested in the country's capital against the Supreme Court ruling that enables presidential re-election. The Supreme Court decision will allow President Nayib Bukele to run for a second term in 2024, potentially making him the Central American nation's first president to serve for more than 5 years in office since the 1950s. In its ruling, the court said a sitting head of state could secure re-election for the second term as long as they have not been president during the immediately preceding period. The decision was handed down by judges appointed to El Salvador's highest court by Bukele in May, after the country's parliament removed several justices critical to or of the government, a move decried by critics as a coup, and one of which sparked international condemnation. The United States Coast Guard deployed temporary floating barriers and scammer devices as they attempt to contain a sizable oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico discovered after Hurricane Idan hit the area. The spill is in waters of Port Fourchon, Louisiana, near where Ida may landfall. In the region, there is a major hub of U.S. petrochemical industry. The oil slick now extends more than 1,000 miles throughout the warm waters of the Gulf, but has yet to reach shore. The Coast Guard reported that TeleSUR Energy, a Texas firm specializing in offshore oil and gas exportation, sent a diving team to the area to seek the source of the leak. The firm stated that the ongoing investigation has not determined yet the cause of the release. We'll be right back after this very short break, so don't go away. Welcome back. Members of Guinea's military announced on Monday that the reopening of our borders after they staged a coup d'etat. Elite troops led by Lieutenant Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya told outgoing ministers and institutional leaders to gather at 11 GMT at Parliament in the capital Conakry, and a refusal to attend will be considered a rebellion, they warned. Impoverished and volatile, the West African country was hit by fresh turmoil on Sunday when special forces arrested 33-year-old President Alpha Condé, declared they were scrapping the constitution and imposed a curfew. International leaders condemned the latest abode of turmoil in West Africa, region where many countries are struggling with poverty, inequality, and jihadist bloodshed. Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya said that the trampling of the rights of citizens and the disrespect of democratic principles were the coup motivations.
From the National Rally and Development Committee, CNRD, the CNRD announces the reopening of air borders and announces the resumption of commercial and humanitarian flights only. CNRD Communique number 5, ex-presidential security personnel are ordered to join the KM-36 Rapid Intervention Group immediately, failing which a nationwide sweep of their ranks will be conducted. Conakry, September 6, 2021, CNRD President Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres also condemned the coup and called for President Alpha Condé's immediate release. Other international leaders, such as the chairman of the African Union and the heads of its executive body, also condemned the heinous act. On the other hand, the Economic Community of West African states threatened to impose sanctions if Guinea's constitutional order was not restored. On his part, the European Union Foreign Policy Chief, Joseph Borrell, demanded to respect the state of law, the interests of peace, and the well-being of the Guinean people. Joining the international community, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela also rejected the coup perpetrated against the government of President Alpha Condé in the Republic of Guinea. President Nicolas Maduro asked to respect the will of the Guinean people and, most importantly, to guarantee their safety and well-being. The Bolivarian nation expressed its support towards President Alpha Condé and demanded his immediate release. China formally opposed the coup in Guinea and urged the immediate release of detained President Alpha Condé. The foreign ministry called on all parties concerned to exercise a restraint and resolve the issue through dialogue and consultation.
We are closely following the development of the situation in Guinea, and we have noticed the relevant statements of the African Union and the Economic Community of West African States. China opposes any attempt to seize power through a coup and calls for immediate release of President Alpha Condé. We call on all parties to act with restraint, taking into account the fundamental interests of the Guinean people and solving problems through dialogue, so as to safeguard peace and stability within the country.
This Monday, Taliban authorities announced to have taken complete control of Panjshir province, the latter area in Afghanistan, held by resistance forces. For more updated information on the country's situation, we go now with TeleSUR collaborator Baker Eanes in Pakistan.
Wadi Panjshir has experienced a bloody night after the Taliban attacked several locations in the valley and killed several key leaders of Panjshir, led by Fahim Dashti, considered the second man in the Panjshir command after Hamed Massoud. The Taliban movement also lost in these clashes Al-Maulawi Fasihuddin, a military leader of the movement. The Taliban attacks allowed the opening of all entrances to Panjshir, which promoted their fighters to enter and gain full control of the valley, which they had not been able to do since the 1990s. The Taliban also managed to seize a large amount of weapons and old and modern artillery, which the Panjshiris had previously hidden. Amrullah Saleh, the former Afghan vice president, who declared himself president of Afghanistan, managed to escape at the last moment, leaving Wadi Panjshir completely in the hands of the Taliban, who raised their Islamic Emirate flag over the Panjshir Valley this morning. At the regional level, Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan discussed the Afghan situation with leaders of Arab countries to assure them of the importance of following national consensus policies in Afghanistan for the sake of finding sustainable stability through a Pakistani move aimed at preventing any international influence that could cause an imbalance in Afghan internal security, and to prevent any country from trying to impose conditions on Afghans in exchange for financial payments under the pretext of saving the Afghan economy. This coincides with the statements made by the spokesman of the Taliban movement, stating that the announcement of the establishment of the Islamic Emirate is forthcoming, as Gulbuddin Hekmatyar, one of the most senior Afghan leaders, stated that the next government will be an Islamic government and that Afghans will not be forced to pleasing the West in the shaping of their government. From Al-Majadin for TeleSUR, Pak Jones in Islamabad.
Iran condemned the Taliban's military offensive against holdout fighters in Afghanistan's Panjshir Valley.
The news coming from Panjshir is truly worrying. The assault is strongly condemned. On the question of Panjshir, I have insisted on the fact that it be resolved by dialogue in the presence of all the Afghan elders. We condemn all foreign interference. We would like to inform our friends and those who might make the strategic error of entering Afghanistan with different intentions that Afghanistan is not a country which accepts the enemy or the aggressor.
In the meantime, Qatar has sent a plane carrying the food and medical goods to Kabul as part of an effort to provide needed supplies to Afghanistan that faces a hard demand of Western aid. Qatar's foreign ministry said the plane had landed at Kabul airport on Sunday with 26 tons of aid, the second such a shipment in as many days. The tiny Gulf state of Qatar has taken an outsized role in evacuation efforts and is expected to play an important political role in what comes next for Afghanistan. We have more stories coming up after this financial break. Welcome back. Cuban authorities launched a national campaign to vaccinate children ages 2 to 18 against COVID-19. On Friday, the Center for State Control of Medicines and Medical Devices announced the authorization for the emergency use of the Soberana O2 vaccine. Children from 12 and older are the first to receive the domestically produced vaccine, followed then by younger kids. Schools have mostly been closed in Cuba since March 2020, and students have been following lessons on television. With the school year starting this Monday, they will continue learning remotely until eligible children are vaccinated.
Today, we started vaccinating teenagers between 12 and 18 years old. And starting tomorrow, we will have the great pleasure of vaccinating children between 2 and 11 years old. It is important to convey that this is the first time in the world that mass vaccinations are carried out in this age group, in children. I think we have to feel very happy.
And taking into account the progress in the vaccination process in Cuba, its proven effectiveness, and the perspective that then more than 90% of the island's population will have completed the vaccination schedule in November, conditions are being prepared to open gradually the country's borders as of November 15. According to a note from the Ministry of Tourism, health and hygiene protocols will be made more flexible upon the arrival of travelers, which will be focused on the surveillance of the symptomatic patients and the taking of temperature. In addition, diagnostic tests will be performed randomly. PCR will not be required upon arrival, and travelers' vaccination certificates will be recognized. The domestic tourist market will also be open gradually, following the epidemiological indicators of each territory. And the Texas healthcare system, specifically in rural areas, has been overwhelmed by people suffering from the Delta variant of the coronavirus. More than 14,000 people were hospitalized in Texas as of September 1st, just below record set in January as the winter COVID wave hit across the United States. The main issue is that many Texans have died in rural hospitals that are being forced to keep patients they are not equipped to care for. In the previous surges, the hospital kept over 750 patients, while currently they are running between 800 and 850. To ease up the situation, a local government brought in nurses from other states and provided hospitals with respirators and other means of stabilizing their patients. The health situation continues to worsen in Africa, as the continent registered to date nearly 8 million infections and 200,000 COVID-related deaths. According to Africa CDC, South Africa is the hardest hit nations in the region, reporting close to 3 million COVID-19 cases and over 83,000 fatalities. It is followed by Morocco with more than 884,000 infections and over 13,000 deaths. Tunisia is the third most affected nation in the continent. Health authorities report more than 675,000 cases of infection and nearly 24,000 deaths. Africa CDC also highlighted that more than 104 million people have been immunized with different vaccines, most of which were donated through the COVAX mechanism of the World Health Organization. Come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at TeleSUR English. And join us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For TeleSUR English, I am Bray Gomez. Thank you for watching.